Now going over to the business bullet of the day, you have AT&T hacked with 6 months of text and phone call data being stolen. Now this is brought to us thanks to NBC News. They say, quote, AT&T says hackers stole records of nearly all cellular customers' calls and text. The data contained records of calls and texts placed between May 1 and October 31st, 2022 and January 2nd, 2023. Yet another reason to be constantly vigilant when it comes to what you're sharing and what you're talking about, literally, when it comes to data and texting and any type of messaging. Now, this is by Patrick Smith and John Abruzzi, who are writers over there. And they say, quote, hackers stole nearly 6 months worth of call and text message records of nearly every AT&T cellular network customer. The company said a breach that has the potential to reveal sensitive information about millions of Americans. The company said in an SEC filing that it learned from an internal investigation in April, hackers unlawfully accessed and copied AT&T call logs that were saved on a third-party cloud platform. Of course, it's a third-party cloud platform. Apparently, they didn't secure it properly. They say that the data contained records of calls and texts between approximately May and October 31st, 2022 and January 2nd, 2023. The content of the calls and messages were not compromised and customers' personal information was not accessed, but the records, including some phone numbers, such as information is often called metadata, which is information about communications and considered highly sensitive, especially when collected and analyzed at large scales to reveal patterns and connections between people. Which, I was going to say, put another dollar in Alex Jones's right jar. Yeah, remember the government said, we promised we weren't collecting any data at all? And then later they said, oh yeah, Obama was in office. We see no pictures here, we weren't collecting mass data, okay? Well, yeah, they actually were. They were collecting metadata data, and they also were collecting the individual data, even more perverse. They say that AT&T wireless network has 127 million devices connected to it, according to the company's 2023 annual report. They say, quote, while the data does not include customer names, there are often ways using publicly available online tools to find the name associated with a specific phone number. Now, they also say, quote, John Scott Raylan, a senior researcher at the University of Toronto Citizen Lab, which focuses on communications technology and security, called the hack a mega breach, emphasizing that metadata stolen at this scale has the potential to be a major national security threat, as well as problems for businesses and individuals. Quote, these are incredibly sensitive pieces of information and personal information, and when taken together at the scale of information that appears to be included in this AT&T data breach, they represent a massive NSA-like window into Americans' activities, which is not good for AT&T. Please. Now, of course, AT&T is saying they're working with law enforcement to help find the perpetrators, to hunt them down. And yeah, like, how many customers are going to leave in droves after this? I don't know. I know a lot of people are locked in those 12-month contracts. Some are month-to-month. And I don't know who was in charge of securing that cloud instance or that cloud environment. And it's one of those things where, again, they should have known AT&T is a multi-billion-dollar with more IT resource allocations than most people can possibly comprehend. And there are some people who think, oh yeah, the cloud is secure. Nope, it's just a rudimentary storage device that you, the end user, or the customer, the burden's on you to actually make it secure. That's not, I'm not saying that the cloud, it's one of those instances where, yes, they can do things on their part, but more often than not, at least when my team is doing assessments, when we're looking at misconfigurations and lack of tools, usually the end user didn't configure something right, they didn't install something right. So yeah, does not look good for AT&T. Also because AT&T resells IT services to businesses. So definitely doesn't look like they are security proficient in that regard when they have such a massive leak of data. And again, a lot of government employees use AT&T. They're one of the big 3 telecom companies out there. I mean, realistically, there's 3. You got AT&T, Verizon, they got T-Mobile, which also they bought out Sprint a couple years ago. So it's one of the biggest breaches ever. I'm sure the U.S. Government officials, the FBI, Forensics departments are all on this and working on it. Let me know what do you think of the odds that someone will actually they actually find the perpetrator for this. But yeah, having one of the biggest breaches of all time, having so much, again, just because it's metadata does not mean it's not important. It's actually quite important, again, especially when you're looking for patterns. So, unfortunately, I don't think the average American might care because they think metadata is important. But nevertheless, it's still one of the biggest hacks of our lifetime, and it's one of the biggest telecom providers, bar none. Do you think, I mean, I think some customers might move away from it. Time shall tell. We'll look at their, their publicly traded company. We'll find out at the end of the day their sales increase or decrease this year. But gotta say, AT&T having this major breach when you yourself sell cybersecurity and other IT solutions, I gotta say that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.